What's up, photographers? I hope you're doing well. I'm Tony Fuentes, and in today's video we're going to cover new tools that have been added in the latest update to Lightroom Desktop and Lightroom Classic. I'm talking about the fantastic tools of auto masking for subject and auto masking for sky. Now these tools are, they're incredible. They basically select the subject or the sky for you with just one click of a button. Now these tools have created quite a big controversy or discussion point in social media, in particular because a lot of people that are very experienced in the editing department, in the corrections and also retouching, well, they're quite upset that all the work that they've put into developing that skill set has been replaced by a single click in the algorithm in Lightroom. But again, in this video we're gonna just jump into it, see the overview of what this tool is, how to use it, little quirks that it has and how it performs. I'm particularly curious how the subject masking tools performs when you put maybe not a human subject, maybe an animal, or you have several subjects in frame. Let's see how it performs and how good it is. So let's jump into it. So here in the develop tab we have this image of the guy just standing out in Japan. It's edited with my Film 1 preset pack. If you want to check it out, it's linked down below. And the interface of Lightroom has not changed, bar the editing tools over here. Now here normally we would have the brush tool, the gradient filter, the radial filter, and the eye correction, and all these tools that we use to correct the image and do the fine retouchings. Now we don't see them over here anymore, but we do see this masking button over here. So we're gonna select it, and now we can see the brush tool, the gradient filter, the radial filter, and some other new tools that we have up here. Maybe I'll cover them in another video, but the main point of this video is these two masking tools over here, the select subject and the sky selection subject. So how do these work? For example, in this image, I want to select the subject, so I'm just going to select subject. It says detecting subject over here, redefining results. And with one click, we can see that the subject is selected with this red overlay. Now, the selection is not quite perfect. If we zoom in, we can see that some parts are over selected over here, like this space between the arm and the leg is selected, but we can also just adjust it further along. Now normally to select the subject we will have to go to the brush tool and carefully outline every single part of the subject, color it, and be very careful and precise with our brush tool movements. Also the same thing applies in Photoshop. Now what this took like 10 seconds to select the subject, and Lightroom did it automatically, and if my computer were faster with a better GPU, better RAM and better processor, it probably would have done it in a few seconds less. Now the subject is labeled with this little silhouette over here indicating that you have a subject, and we can see that this little panel of mask has appeared. Now this panel really reminds me of the layers panel that we have in Photoshop, and it's great to see that some of the features that we use in Photoshop are being translated into Lightroom. Here we can create a new mask. We also have the mask that we just created by default called mask 1. We can select it, and down below in a subcategory we can see the subject mask over here. We can also hide it by clicking the little eye, and we can also enter the options menu in each of them. Now the subject is in red because, well, the overlay is telling us what we're selecting. We can obviously turn it off. We can also change the color in case some parts of the image are in the same color and they're getting a bit confused. And we can also change the way it's represented. For example, if we go into black and white, everything in the image is in black and white, bar the things that we've selected. So the subject is completely in color. So in this case, I'm just going to return it like this. And before we edit our subject, I just want to refine a bit of the selection that Lightroom did. So for that, I'm just going to select subtract, and a little menu appears. And basically Lightroom is telling us with what tools you want to subtract parts of this mask. So I'm just going to select the brush tool. And over here, I'm just going to use the brush tool. Here we can see the menu for the brush tool. Just to alter the feather, to alter the density, anything. Just going to delete some of these parts that aren't part of the subject or the central subject. So a very quick and rough selection, but you get the idea that you can really fine adjust the mask that Lightroom already has done for you. So now we can go ahead and edit our subject, do anything that we want. For example, maybe I want to add a bit more highlights to the subject, pull down a bit of blacks so we don't lose some contrast, add a bit of clarity and dehaze, and basically we're done. We can also invert the mask to edit everything but the subject. So for that, just gonna select the 3 points over here, the options menu, and invert the selection. And now we can see with the overlay that we're selecting everything but the subject. Okay, now we have this portrait of my dog Lupita. So let's see if the subject masking tool, auto masking tool, works with animals. So let's see, let's select it, select subject, let Lightroom do its magic. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna take a zip Yeah, and yeah, it does work with animals. Again, it's quite imprecise, so again, I want to add a subtract mask with some brush tool and delete any parts that I don't want to be selected with the mask, and then go ahead and edit the image. Make her a bit warm to match the surroundings. Yeah, something like that. Pull up a bit of the shadows. Yeah. Now let's put this tool through its paces. Here we have the three subjects. Let's see if it selects them. Just going to select subject, and it does select the subject, but it's not quite as refined. You can see that some parts of the third subject, of the background subject, are quite blurry. It doesn't know where his body ends. Maybe it's because it's a very complex scene. And then the first subject has some masking errors over here. So just a reminder to be a bit more cautious while using this tool in more complex images, particularly to see if it's working correctly and selecting the subject as you want it. If not, you can always use the add tool over here or the subject tool to select what you want. Moving on, let's go to the select sky tool. Now here we have this image of my friend Patricio just jumping some dirt bike. So let's select the sky. Let Lightroom do its magic, and immediately it does a pretty nice job. Quite quickly it selects basically all the sky with the exception of the clouds over here. We can go and add them further along, but again we have everything selected. Maybe in this case I would just desaturate a bit of the sky, maybe change the hue just a bit. And now I'm just going to show you another tool that's quite nice. You can intersect your selection with the tools that you have at your disposal. So for example, maybe I want to add a gradient filter to make emphasis on the sky, to make it a bit less flat. So I'm just going to go over to the sky mask, hit the options and select intersect mask with a gradient lineal filter. So now I'm just going to draw it. I'll just pull up a bit of the exposure. And as we can see, we've created this gradient filter, but it only applies to the mask of the sky. It doesn't do anything with the plants in the background or anything with the subject. It's just because we're intersecting it with the sky mask. So we're only affecting the mask. So in this way we can edit and alter certain parts of the image individually. It's a very nice tool to have. Now we can also create as many masks as we want. So for example, if I wanted to select now the subject, I'm just going to select create a new mask, select subject. Now I've selected my friend Patricio, and now we can edit him separately from the sky and also separately from the trees in the background. So maybe I would add some clarity, pull down a bit of blacks, pull up a bit of the highlights and the whites just to make him pop just a bit more. And as you can see, we've edited him separately from the sky and separately from the trees. So you can see what we're doing, guys and girls. We're editing different parts of the image separately in a different manner. So this way we can be a bit more precise and a bit more meticulous in our editing. So it's a great tool to have. So in essence, these are the new auto masking tools within Lightroom, and yeah, they're fantastic. In my opinion, they're great tools to have. Now, many photographers have a problem with this, basically because, well, it's replacing all of those hours that they put into mastering the masking tools in Photoshop and in Lightroom. So this is an auto masking tool, but in my opinion is this, guys. It's just a tool. You can use it to your advantage or you cannot use it. This tool really goes for all types of photographers, or beginners when you don't have the skill set to use the masking, the brush tools, to intermediates when you have, let's say, 150 photos of the bride and groom in wedding photography and you need to mask them individually. This is a great time saver. And also I can see photographers, very advanced photographers, using this to correct their images. So everyone can use it. I consider it to be a fantastic addition. So I'm very happy every single time I see a function that we have in Photoshop that we use to edit our photos being incorporated into Lightroom. For me, it's a great win, particularly because you avoid the jumping from program to program where you're losing some information in your photograph. In this way, we can have it all in one app and we don't lose any quality in our images. So that's going to be it for today. If you did like the video, can you please give it a like? It's a way you can support me. Also, you can subscribe to the channel. That'd be very nice. Or you can buy my presets, which are linked down below if you want to ensure that I don't starve to death. Other than that, I hope you have a very nice day. You continue creating. I'm Tony Fuentes, and I'll see you in the next one.